the experience of being away from your family, living abroad. But acting as playing Sam, I know was a pivotal role, and it had a major impact in your life. Playing something like that, how did it affect your let's say your relationships with your coworkers and your family? Being away for so long and being able to establish such a camaraderie with your fellow players.
Well, in two ways probably. There's just the physical experience that is, of being somewhere and where you eat, what you wear, where you go to movies, like who goes over to whose house, just kind of the basic human functional experience. And I think, and the second way is like where the ideas of the story intersect with your ideas of your own life or the ideas of people who are around you. For the physical, it was really hard for me. I had to be really fat, and we were down in New Zealand for 2 years, which is beautiful. But I'm an American, and I probably never really understood what it meant to be an American until I was in New Zealand for 2 years. And I consider New Zealand. Yesterday Daniel said something about my country. I'm like, it's my country too, bro. New Zealand is, I've lived there. I've been down there 3 different movies. And so it's home to me in a sense. I mean, I know my way around the whole country, I feel like. But the Bush-Gore election happened, and I felt like I did when I was promoting Memphis Belle in Japan, and the first Gulf War started. I'm like, my country's at war. I need to go home. My country's in crisis. We don't know if we're going to have a free and fair election of a president. So I felt this yearning to be home. So that, and then when you get home, you've been gone forever. So even though in your mind it's like yesterday, everybody else is kind of, they're doing their thing. So it was kind of, I don't want to say traumatic, but it was definitely a kind of a jarring adjustment to just pure physical existence. In terms of Sam, the question that I would always get everywhere I went, well, maybe that's not true. It struck me really hard when I would get the question, so it felt really prevalent, and that is, are you as good as Samwise? And the only answer can be no. Samwise is an ideal literary character who has to withstand no other scrutiny than Tolkien's pen, But that idea of faithfulness and loyalty and bravery and decency and goodness and all those things are certainly something I always wanted to aspire to. So I think there were moments where I felt kind of called to behave in certain ways, and I'm sure it was bolstered by having played Samwise. And then when I would fall short in my own life, I felt extra bad because I played Samwise and I had somehow dishonored the mantle of the character. So that's probably the.
It was a burden. It's something to live up to that's pretty much impossible.
I try not to intellectually or emotionally, I try not to go into agreement with that, but I think experientially it's true.
And now, Sala, of course, you played pretty much the opposite, the embodiment of evil in Sala. So tell us, it's interesting, when I interviewed Jeremy yesterday, Boba Fett, we were talking about how it brings so much physicality to a role which doesn't require much speaking. As Boba Fett, he's in his armor, his helmet, and just his mere physical presence. If you look at someone, as he said, he demonstrated with someone in the audience. If you look at someone and you're wearing a helmet and they can't see your features or your expression, you're just staring at them for a few moments. It intimidates them. So Sauron is pretty much the ultimate intimidator. So just and you've played some really great visual characters. Sauron pretty much chief among them, although a lot of your others are pretty amazing as well. So if you want to talk about just the difference between a character like Sam, which is all about emotion and trust and just giving oneself completely to his beloved friend, whereas Sauron is all about complete selfishness.
Yeah, me. Yeah. It was tough to because I originally started off as a stuntman. I don't know if you guys know, but I started as a stuntman on the movie, doing all the Urukai stuff and aiming hen with Vigo doing the fights. And then they'd basically gone to try and find. They originally had a Sauron.
They did?
Yeah, it was the.
I thought they weren't going to hire somebody.
They originally did, and it was a guy Mike who worked for Weta.
Oh,
He was a guy who helped make the suit, and he was probably 6'5", 6'4", 6'5", but he was lean and skinny, and he basically fit the suit. And I'm 6'2", he's 6'5", but he was probably 175 pounds, and I was 230. You know, I had muscle on me. He was just all, you know. But you know, he fit the suit. But unfortunately, when they did the rushes, he's not a performer. He's just the guy who fit the suit. So they originally had him go in and do basically like a mock-up of Sauron, and he's just not a performer. So unfortunately, we had to replace him. And they watched the rushes and said, "Who are going to get to play Sauron?" And you know, Richard Taylor was the first guy to say Sala. I don't know why, but you know, he ended up getting me to do a mock-up rock video type style, and you know, of Sauron, and they loved it. So
I know why you wanted you
that night.
Because, well, you look right, but you also, like, it was 6 weeks or more of night shoots in the pouring rain with unbelievable suits on, these rubber suits and everything, and you every single day was like your birthday. You just had this, it was like you had this great attitude. So they wanted to hire somebody who would be keen and able and kind of optimistic. And is that, you think, it's a fair thing?
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, no, it's right, because I loved it. It was my first film, and everything was exciting and new, and I was always doing something different that I'd never done before. You know, Sean had done film for a long time, and it was my first film. It was my baby kind of thing, and I had to basically put everything that I had into this role, and every other role that I played. You know, the Urukais, the Berserkers at Helm's Deep. I didn't play Rohan. That was crazy. But I was a dead one anyway, so it was fine. But you know, playing Sauron was a huge role, because you know, he is the embodiment of evil. He's the Dark Lord Sauron, and you kind of have to have that persona and the energy behind him, because he's the one guy you want to hate. And you know, he made the One Ring of Evil to try and take over the whole world. And all these characters are trying to basically stop him from doing it. You know, get my fingers chopped off, I lose the ring, I send out my minions to get it back, meaning me, I send myself out to get my ring back. You know, and it was pretty full on, but for me it was kind of exciting and new, because I had Peter on my side basically telling me, you know, who I was as Sauron, and the backstory on him, and who he is, and how he started, and why he's doing this all. And he basically said to me one day, I was in the suit during the prologue battle, when all the elves and the orcs are fighting. And when I come in and start, you know, they all come in together as in battle, and I come in and start smashing everyone away, you know. And he said, just what you're doing is you have all this power and energy in your mace. Imagine, you know, Darth Vader and all these other bad guys, and you're 1,000 times worse. And you have all the power of all of them in this one mace. And embody that in the character, and just think that you're just, nothing can stop you. You know, you are darkness and evil. So it was bad, because I'm not that guy. So I'm like, under the mask. You know.
I know him personally. He's really not like that.
You know, and so, but it was cool to kind of transform and go back and forth into different characters. But Sauron was kind of, you know, it was my baby. It was my first film, so it was kind of exciting and new. And I'll always have it as my back pocket. You know, so the journeys were cool.
That's great.
And to have hobbits around.
Yeah. There's probably a million questions from the audience, but I have to ask one more. Sean, in your and thanks, Sala, it was great. In your book, once again, There and Back Again, a lot of really great passages. I enjoyed it immensely. But one thing, one of the many things that stood out, this is kind of might strike you as funny, but I really enjoyed reading about your experience with the I don't know the technical term, but when you get a casting of your body for special effects.
That's a casting.
It's a casting. Yeah, I guess you weren't into that at first, but then it turned into
I thought I was having a heart attack.
Claustrophobia, was it?
Well, yeah, it turned out to be basically claustrophobia, but like the morning that I had to do it, I woke up and I'm like, honey, I think I'm having a heart attack. And I was, my heartbeat was racing, and I didn't 100% connect it to the fact that I was having to go to this thing, but you know, it wasn't. They were like, called the doctor. It was like, you know, early in the morning. He's like, I think you're just having a stress thing. You're going to be all right. You know, so I get in the car and I'm driving down to go to the thing, and I had to pull over again. I'm like,